Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now is a man that people are saying is the greatest GM to enter the NFL in recent history. A man who did magic in the last draft. A man that had a vision and a culture that he wanted to build. They were 1-5. Everybody was calling him the dumbest motherfucker on the planet. The team went on a run. He had the greatest draft class last year. He's looking to do the same this year. Ladies and gentlemen, Southern handsome man, general manager of the Indianapolis Colts, Chris Ballard.
Well, let me tell you something. Every time I start feeling like shit about myself, I'm going to play. I want you to send that to me. Play it loud.
Hey, you should be feeling good about yourself this week. This week is basically Super Bowl for talent evaluators and everything like that. Can you dig into your combine process a little bit? Are you as hands-on, or is this a scout's paradise this week?
Well, no, it's all of us. I mean, at heart, I'm a scout. But look, I mean, to be able to get the best players, I think 337 this year here, and being able to go through the medical interviews and then get them to work out, it's a critical time for us. And to get them all in one place, under stressful conditions. I mean, I know people don't quite understand that, but it is. I mean, they're getting up early in the morning and having to do a full day events. I mean, it's taxing on them. Then they got to perform. So we found out a lot this week.
So I wasn't invited to the combine because you NFL scouts didn't think I was worth a shit. It's very nice. But I've heard nothing but horror stories.
You proved them all wrong.
I did. But I've heard nothing but horror stories from players that have done the combine, from the 4 a.m. wake-up calls to drug testing to the 15-minute meetings with teams that are just trying to learn everything they possibly can and maybe even do a gotcha type situation to the on-field stuff. Has the combine become more of a dog and pony show than like an actual evaluator's paradise? Because it seems as if players are prepared for everything that could possibly happen.
They are, but let me tell you, you can't. There's certain things you cannot hide. Like you can't hide if there's certain medical issues. You can't hide going into our interviews are probably a little bit different than that. We're not trying to create gotcha moments in our interview sessions. We turn them over to our coaches and let them evaluate, what they can handle mentally, just in that short 15-minute time period. And then you can't hide, your fundamental athletic talent, with the testing that they do. Is it the end-all, be-all? No. But saying that, it is an important part of the process.
What is an interview question you like? For instance, when we interview people here, my go-to is, if you were a kitchen appliance, which kitchen appliance would you be and why? You can answer that question and then tell me one that you use.
Ours are I don't ever try to create, to be honest with you.
Hey, I want to let you know, you just avoided my question there. I'm going to have to dock you some points in the hiring process there, Ballard.
Oh no, one day when they run me out of Indy, I'm coming to work for you. No, that's already decided.
Oh, amen. I can't wait. We got some shit you can do here for sure. But what are your interview questions? Do you do like Dr. Phil psychology type questions, like that kitchen appliance one? You're just trying to see how fast the person answers, why they answer that question, that type of stuff. Is that your type of thing, or what is it?
No. So we'll watch tape with the player. We want him to, to me, the gotcha moments, we're just not into that. I want to put his tape on, and I want him to explain to us what's going on, good and bad. Let's pull 4 or 5 good plays. Tell us the play, tell us what you were doing, tell us what your teammates were doing, and then let's pull the bad plays off and give us an answer make us understand why this occurred. And you'd be surprised in 15 minutes what you can get out of players. Are they blaming others for their mistakes?
Oh.
Do they have a growth mindset to where they understand, what they did wrong and willing to fix it? And then do they understand, what other people are doing on the offense or defense?
That's I just thought to myself, you asking like a player, what happened on this one, and them getting flustered that you even brought up a bad play, and then them throwing somebody else under the bus, and you not even having to do any more questions, just be like, oh yeah, you'd be great in our locker room. That makes so much sense all of a sudden. It really does.
No, that's one of the that I've talked about it today. That's an issue. I mean, it's an issue with players coming up today because they live in a highlight world. They want to show the best of what they've done. Well, how are you going to get better if you're not looking at the stuff you screwed up? I mean, my God, I just look at myself. I fucked up so much stuff here in the first, year and a half. Eventually you got to do a self-evaluation to grow and get better.
There was a headline today that said, by the way, you got to beep that F word out. We absolutely will. That was actually our producer that giggled there as soon as you said it. No, we will.
Right on your Twitter page.
We'll probably beep it and say we'll have a contest to tell us what word was said here. That'll be the thing. There was a headline today that said you and your crew just got out of 18 straight 12-hour days. Is that accurate or a complete bullshit?
No, that's accurate. That's very accurate. We our process. You can hear I'm in an elevator right now going up. Our process. We go through 1,700 players, and we go through every one. I mean, we're in the business of eliminating. So we'll eliminate and get. I think we got down to about 216, and we sit in there and we go through every guy ad nauseum, and then the guys that we still have on the board, we watch. And we watch them together. And, one of the big things for our scouts, and they know it, I prove it on tape. There's a lot of creative writers, but you can't hide the tape. You can't hide what a guy does on tape. And, between those meetings, and then we'll come back again in April. We'll have meetings through March, and then April where they'll come in for another 16 days, and we'll rewatch every single guy again. And they've got to, by the time we get to the draft, for them to step on that board, they have to prove what they are, that the scouts are saying they are.
Okay, so going into Combine, do you already know what you're going to do in free agency, so you know that you can spend more time focusing on this type of stuff because we know we're going to take a shot on these couple players? Or is it something that you're kind of figuring out because everybody knows, it's no secret, you don't have to say anything because it'd be dumb for you to say it, but I'll say it. Everybody knows Indianapolis is a time where there's a lot of conversations happening about a lot of things. I mean, it's literally broadcasted on every single sports network today is saying how Indianapolis is where the moving and shaking gets done. So this week, do you, with also the draft eligible players, do you also do that with all the free agent stuff? Do you go through all their film, all their maybe extra baggage bullshit, and you know that going in so you can evaluate possible free agents versus college guys? Or is it something that's an evolving process as you go?
No, you nailed it. So we'll spend the last 2 weeks of December and then the first 2 weeks of January with our pro staff, and we go through every free agent on the board, and we set up a board just like we do in college. And then when we go through the draft process, we're able to see where, here's where there's some depth in free agency. Here's where depth is in the draft. And then we can start figuring out, here are the needs we have. Here's where I think we can fill them, whether it's using free agency or it's the draft.
Okay, so you have always said to be a great franchise, you have to build from within. You have to reward your young players that do well. You have to take care of your guys so that when people come to the Colts, they know if they do everything right, they're going to get paid off in the end. They're not going to get fucked over. You also are a guy who has over $100 million this upcoming free agency spending spree. You told me before that money will go quick. Should fans or the NFL in general expect an active Chris Ballard, or is it going to be strategic use of the cash?
No, it'll be strategic. And I'll never say never, because if the right opportunity presents itself, there's a lot that goes into a player changing teams, especially for big dollars. He's got to want the team's got to want him, the dollars have to match. And all that stuff has to come into play. So, getting the right fits. I always laugh when people said we haven't been active in free agency. I said, no, we have been active. I mean, Danico Autry, Jabal Shear, Marcus Hunt, those were all, free agent acquisitions that helped our club. And, we'll continue to use free agency to supplement. The majority of your roster to have long-term success has to come from within. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're all draft picks. I'm not, oblivious to the fact that, that could take forever. But a guy like Kenny Moore, who we claimed, those kind of undrafted free agents like, Rigo, those guys can help build the core of your team and the character of your team that you want. So young players that do things the right way, we'll try to, and they produce, we'll try to do everything we can to keep them. Will it work out to be 100%? Not always. And I tell our players this, look, at the end of the day, my job's to build a winner. But on the flip side, every player that comes in, if you do what we're asking you to do and you buy into the program, you're going to make good money, whether it's here or somebody else. Now, players will get a little pissy about this every once in a while, but eventually they get it. And sometimes we can't match what another team's matching. Well, that's okay. Good for your family, man. Good for you. You went and made a big paycheck somewhere. That's why you're doing what you're doing. You're doing it to win, but you're also doing it to provide for your family long term, and I get that.
Okay, so last year, I'll say this. My first preseason football game with the Indianapolis Colts, I had just earned the punting job. I didn't know how to punt when I got drafted. First game, my first punt was 63 yards in the air. My second punt was 62 yards in the air. Everybody was like, holy shit, we got a guy, right? But for me, going into that second preseason game, in my head, I was like, okay, I got to do better than I did in the first preseason game. And I ended up playing like shit, to be honest. I had a couple shanks. I still didn't understand fully how to punt, but I kind of put too much pressure on me that second preseason. Then I had to have a full mental figure out session. For you are coming out of one of the hottest draft rounds in the history of a general manager. And I mean that with you pulled a needle out of a haystack with Darius Leonard just beautifully. Everybody was mocking your draft. Quentin Nelson is going to be a franchise changer, and you took an offensive lineman in the first round. I mean, you had an incredible draft. We can go through the entire thing. But do you feel a little bit more pressure? Like, hey, everybody's expecting a great draft out of Chris Ballard? Or is this just like, yeah, that's what we do. That's why we put in all the hours, and you have a lot of confidence going in your squad?
No, that's what we do. I have a lot of confidence in not only myself, but our team and the scouts that we have. We're a very talented group of guys, and they know where the standard's at. And I laughed. I mean, almost, last year we don't ever let anybody else set our expectations. I mean, fuck that. We set our expectations, and it's almost, people are so scared of the unknown. They're all scared when you go with the unknown. Well, we're not. We're not scared to draft. We're not scared to bring in players that others might disagree with and still win football games. I mean, I just think that at the end of the day, we set expectations internally, and that's how we're going to roll.
That's elite. That's like a real, hey, that was one of the most gangster answers I've heard in a long time. I want to let you know that. But when you come out of like that incredible draft last year, you can't act like that. It's like Tom Brady can walk into a building and say, I'm the baddest motherfucker alive, or whatever he said, because he's proved that he is. I loved everything you just said there. A couple quick questions and then let you go. I know you're a very busy man. We're very thankful that you stopped by here today. The style of college football. It's a fast, spread them out. Defenses are basically non-existent in most conferences. Now, granted, the Big Ten or whatever the hell it's called, the Big Ten is a power football place or whatever. Have you found it difficult to, well, obviously not, but do you notice and realize a challenge in evaluating talent now with the way the game has changed in college? And do you think the way the game is changing in college is also the reason directly why the NFL is changing to kind of keep up with college football?
That's a good question.
That's what we do here.
Do I think it's more difficult? The O-line and D-line, and I'm going to give you a reason why, are harder to evaluate just because of the amount of plays. So I think sometimes they're going so fast and they're running 112 plays a game. Whatever the number is they're running a bunch, which when I first started scouting, they were, in the 70, 75 range. So they get tired faster, especially on the defensive line. They can't, it's hard to sometimes evaluate the rushers because, you're out on the field and they're running a play every 20, 25 seconds. And all of a sudden you're out there for 10 straight plays. Guys get tired. They get gassed easily. So to me, it's harder to evaluate the fronts. Wideouts have always been more difficult to evaluate just because they don't see the physical play at the line of scrimmage within the first 5 yards that they're going to see in our league. So you've just got to make sure you're honing in on the traits that have made players successful in the past, and know that your coaching staff's got to be really good from a fundamental standpoint that we're going to be able to get them up to speed, when they get in our building.
Poor coaching is an epidemic in the NFL, I think, and it hasn't really come to the light until these shortened practice sessions have been enforced with the new, you get it. What is it? CBA. There it is. I knew it was 3 letters. You get it. The new CBA. I do believe that you see who has good coaches and who doesn't with the new CBA because there's such limited time to work with them. Final question, just a little quick rundown here. You said it's hard to evaluate D linemen. Makes sense. Also wide receivers. Yeah. There's a certain wide receiver that is very good in the NFL, we've learned, and he is on the market, and he has a blonde mustache now. He met with a billionaire down in Florida just a couple weeks ago. Are you looking for a potential another explosive offensive weapon that has a proven NFL history this upcoming free agency, and how much will you pay them? You can make that announcement right now.
I don't know who you talking about.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's just say hypothetically, would you give up, say, a first or second round pick for a proven perennial Pro Bowl wide receiver? 30.
Who's 30 years old?
You changed your voice.
It's just a Steelers fan looking for some picks.
I assume you won't give us that answer. And I respect it, to be honest. But I think we're all very excited to see what you do, man.
Hey, congrats, too, by the way, on getting engaged.
I'll tell you what, Chris. Forever's a long time, man.
Way to think it through, big dog.
Hey. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
Hey, no, let me, in all seriousness, best thing you'll ever do. It's the best thing I ever did in my life. I would not be where I am today without my wife. She's unbelievable. When you marry your best friend in life and get ready to go on this journey, there's nothing better. And especially like the pictures. They were showing me the pictures walking over here. Dude, that was freaking awesome. Awesome. You got your shorts on. You're in front of the helicopter. I mean, it was freaking awesome.
Hey, I appreciate that. I got a text from Chuck that said that he was happy that he proposed to Tina a long time ago after she saw all those photos. Unbelievable. Oh, that's something I should ask you about. Frank Reich. Hey, just a year ago, I was in a goddamn press conference for Frank Reich directly after Josh McDaniels gave the old swoop-de-swoop. What an incredible find in decision that ended up being with Frank Reich. You guys got to absolutely love how this has all grown together. You and him seem to be like peanut butter and jelly, like you peas and carrots, and you get it. Really though, this has been an incredible. You two seem to be tight.
Pretty good. Frank gets it now. I mean, he's mature, very patient. He's the same guy every day. And one of the really cool things about him, like he thinks it doesn't matter who, he thinks he can win. I mean, he's got that trait to where hey Chris, just get us the right type of guys and we'll make it work. We'll find a way to win. And I love that about him. I mean, I do. I love that there's never an excuse. We're going to try to get it done. And I think the locker room feels that. I really do.
That's such a magical thought. You know why, though? I mean, he comes back down 35 or whatever it is when the Bills, when they have all their backups in. He's like, yeah, it don't matter. Let's go. Let's get this one. Frank Reich's an incredible man. So are you, Chris. Who do you need to add? Where do you need to add depth at?
Well, I mean, I think we got still a young roster. I think we need to continue. I mean, look, O-line, D-line is always going to be a priority. It always will be. And because I just believe long term, that's how you win in this league. I mean, just look at the Super Bowl. Those are two great football teams playing each other. But at the end of the day, New England won the game up front. And so those will always be priorities for us going forward. Do we get it done every year the way you want? I'm realistic to know that, sometimes it just doesn't fall that way. But saying that is something we'll always keep our eye on.
If you find another Quentin Nelson, you will be an animal.
Are you a best available or a position of need
I'm
guy?
Realistic. Hey, look, now I'm very realistic. Those guys don't fall off the tree very often.
No, never. What are you talking? Quentin Nelson doesn't fall off any
player.
Yeah, he's incredible. Are you best available or need?
Best available.
Let's go. Can't wait to watch your brain work.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
available.
Have an incredible combine, Chris. Can't wait to see what you do with the Colts this upcoming year. And we're all pretty big fans, and even the diehard Steelers fans, the Colts are their number 2 team. So we appreciate the hell out of you, man. You're very, very, very likable GM, by the way. We watched that press conference. We've been watching everybody's little press conference out there at the combine. Man, hey, Chris, I think you found what you're supposed to be doing for a living, man. Pretty good up there. Good hair, too. Good hair.
Well, look, the one thing I'm pretty realistic about is like it don't take long for him to be calling you.
Hey, all right, go have a good one, man.
You got to blank that one out.
Yeah, we will. Hey, Chris, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Chris Ballard.
Yeah.
Chris, you're the best.
All the best. Be good.
You got it. Cheers, man. Good luck.